Although I might only know a couple of chords on the guitar, Chris Feener here has pretty much proven himself to be an expert. Chris, now what was your inspiration to start playing the guitar?
I started when I was about 8 years old. My dad used to bring home CDs all the time. He used to bring home Kiss CDs, Doobie Brothers, all that kind of stuff. I used to sit in my room and air guitar for hours and hours and hours. Just sit down with my Discman and just fantasize about doing the whole rock star thing. And it seemed so appealing, and I've wanted to do it ever since I was a kid. And I'm working on it.
Now, I had said you kind of proven yourself. So what was your last gig?
Threat Signal, actually a metal band based out of Ontario. We flew to Europe. We played pretty much every country in Europe, minus the Scandinavian countries. And yeah, it was definitely an experience.
So is this your genre of heavy metal, or do you play all kinds of...
No, I do a little bit of everything. It seems to be the main gigs I'm getting are heavy metal at the moment. It just seems like, because a lot of the videos that I've advertised myself with online, especially on YouTube and stuff, is heavy metal stuff. It just seems to be, it's just one of those genres that you can really push the technical envelope and that kind of thing, right? So it's something that I really appeals to me. So
tell me about when you got your first guitar and what happened then.
I think I was, like I said, 7 or 8 years old. I got an acoustic guitar. My mom got a lend from one of her relatives. I went to music camp, and it was all right, but it wasn't until a couple of years later when I got my first electric, the whole Sears guitar package thing, that I really got into it from there. And then I realized, I always thought that guitar solos, what I thought were guitar solos, were always played on a bass for some reason. So then I had my guitar, and then after about 4 or 5 years, I realized, oh my God, I can do all this stuff. Then I learned how to read tab, got the internet, and from there it was, it was gung-ho. That was it. Wow.
So now, how did you kind of learn to play? Was it all like, did you teach yourself, or did you get someone to show you?
It was a little bit of everything. When I first started out, like I said, I did the music camp thing. I had a couple local guitar teachers. Nothing overly extensive. I learned a lot of just the basic open position chords and that kind of thing. And then, like I said, when I got the internet, that was pretty much it for me. I learned how to read tab, and then I just started learning as many songs as I could all the time, because it was so, appealing to me at the time that I could actually learn whatever song I want, whenever I want. It was really cool, and then that was pretty much it.
So what was your first inspiration? Now, you said your dad used to bring home CDs. What were some of those first CDs that got you inspired to start playing guitar?
Like I said, Kiss was like one of my biggest influence from the get-go. After a few years, I started getting into bands like Metallica, and Metallica, Dream Theater, and all those guys, and Megadeth, and then from there it just really took off. But from the earliest, it was probably, Kiss, Aerosmith, the Doobie Brothers, even the Stampeders, whatever was in his CD collection. That was pretty much it, right?
So your early influences kind of ranged across the board.
Exactly. Yeah. A little bit of everything. What really appealed to me was the heavier stuff, though. I always just really liked the sound of electric guitar, and that was just, it's kind of set out. That's what I had to do. So.
So what would be your favorite band now to listen to and say, oh, I can play like that, or I can learn that chord?
It's kind of weird, because you get to a point where anything you listen to, you know that you can practice hard enough and get there, because like there's so many levels you look at, and it's just like that's amazing. The thing is, though, I'm my own worst critic, and I think that's a really good trait to have as a musician. I'm kind of blessed to have what I consider mild OCD. If I can't play something, I have to do it a billion times over and over, and then eventually I'll get it. And that's just, like I said, that's just personal characteristics.
So what's some advice you give to an aspiring musician?
You really have to practice. Like, as generic as that sounds, I mean, if I wasn't obsessed with the guitar, I wouldn't be anywhere I am right now. Everybody has different goals. I mean, I have a lot of students that come to me who just want to play 3 chords. And if that's what you want to do, perfect. But, if you really want to take it to the next level and get into the whole soloing thing and really develop yourself as a musician or as a guitarist, you really have to spend a lot of time at it. You have to be passionate about it. If you're not, there's no point. It's a great hobby, but at the same time, if you want to take it to the next level, it's just like anything. You really have to be passionate about it.
So now, what's upcoming for Chris Feener?
Working on the next Threat Signal album at the moment. We're working online. Where the band is kind of dispersed throughout North America. Our drummer lives in Maryland. Other guitarist lives in Texas. The other 2 members are in Ontario. So we're writing online over MSN using MIDI files and Facebook and that kind of thing. And we're working on the next album, due to be recorded in a couple months. And we're going to Europe last part of April. So we're doing the whole Europe thing again.
Now, if someone wanted to follow you online and kind of check out your music and that kind of stuff, what's your website or your Facebook page?
Yeah, you can go to facebook.com/Chris Feener, add me as a personal friend. I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Chris Feener, that has all my videos, and I'm releasing chrisfeener.com actually within the next 2 to 3 days. So I'll have tons of stuff up there as well.
Excellent. Now you're gonna play some songs for us, aren't you?
Yes, we'll see what we can do.
All right, perfect. Thanks.